We are now a billionaire in Rimworld, all with one simple trick. Hello there and welcome to Martimer's guide on how to become a billionaire. You see, while the Rimworld is full of cartel drug lords, organ farmers, and ranchers, those guys are merely millionaires. And dear old Martimer here has bigger ambitions than just being a millionaire. So how is he going to achieve billionaire status? He's going to utilize the power of free market economics, plus all the lessons he's learned from his How to Become a Billionaire skill trainer. He is going to capitalize on Rimworld's most abundant and usable resource, steel. Because pretty much every building in this game is made of steel. But isn't the value of steel very low? How are we going to reach billionaire with just steel? Well, keep watching to find out. Now we start on a standard sea ice tile here, with plenty of space, no pesky animals on the extinction watch list, and no tree cutting or mining permits to pay for. And using all the things Martimer has learned from his previous recycling pollution into money plan a few days back, we are going to achieve billionaire status. He builds the standard sea ice base that he has become so accustomed to in the Rimworld, and as per usual, he will not be utilizing any deep drills because deep drills require additional labor that can't be covered by free, unpaid, and uncomplaining mechanoids. And instead, we utilize recycling the free toxic waste produced by our lovely little helpers here, in addition to the pollution produced by our toxic generators. We'll also rely on trade for early game steel shortages. Steel is practically required for every building in this game. A few days pass and we are still only worth a measly 50k silver. But we have our recycling facility set up and things will soon change. We are contacted by a man named Toby. He agrees to give us his free labor in exchange for 16 days of foggy rain. And since I am in sea ice, foggy rain is nothing, and so we accept. And this had some unfortunate consequences. Now don't ask me how there's flood water on sea ice at negative 20 degrees, because I have no answers for you. The entire map is almost eventually flooded. But since we don't go out and touch grass anyway, this is fine. We're given the option to name ourselves, and in honor of everyone's favorite and in-touch billionaire, we are going to call ourselves RimX. And this particular colony will be called Colony X. Gotta keep everything in brand. Yes, our first electric art bench. One of the components of our little fire triangle that will lead us to success. Weeks later, we get yet another quest for forced weather. This time, a foggy sandstorm for an Archotech leg. And this is very valuable, and not something I can produce myself. So now it's raining sand on some sea ice. Very realistic. So now everyone has to deal with sand in their pants while trying not to slip on some ice in sub-zero temperatures. But who cares, we'll be billionaires. Unfortunately, becoming a billionaire requires human labor. If only there are art-making mechanoids out there. And human labor requires human housing, and more importantly, human food. And with the power of mechanoids, there is only one thing to produce in hydroponics, and that is rice. Since we're also transhumanists, eventually this rice will become delicious nutrient paste. Food for the gods. Since almost all of our non-art labor will be handled by mechanoids, Dog here has decided to summon a Diabolus, so that he could rip that signal chip off of its cold dead mechanoid body. And with some masterful kiting, that is one Diabolus down. Unfortunately, days after, we are assaulted by the worst threat in Rimworld, vagabonds. Now these vagabonds are requesting 57 silver so that they could rebuy their kidnapped friend, and I regret to inform you that the base price of a human in Rimworld is 1,750 silver. And I would like nothing more than to know if you could buy back your friend with 57 silver, and so I give you 57 silver. We never heard from them again. After harvesting 10 boar livers in World of Warcraft, we are now ready to begin the second part of our plan. Now the second part of our plan involves these automated structures here called steel extractors. And they will automatically grind chunks produced by our automated drills into 10 steel, providing us with an endless supply of steel. Steel which will be transformed into very expensive sculptures. And so the second part of our fire triangle, or let's rename it Money Triangle, is now in full swing. And now you may be asking, why are we using steel instead of more expensive things like gold or plasteel? But the thing with steel is that it is easier to acquire. and it has a sad base price of 1.9 silver per unit. And this is where the third part of our magical money triangle comes in. You see, the Rimworld is a free market, and therefore, prices are determined by supply and demand. And what always has a high demand in Rimworld? That's right, you have sculptures. And you might be thinking, don't sculptures have a 1.1 base sell price multiplier? Meaning that 1.9 silver becomes 1.99? And you are correct. While we can't manipulate the sell price multiplier, since we are functioning in a free market, we're instead going to manipulate the base price of steel. We are going to buy every single scrap of steel we can get from trade ships, which in turn increases the price of steel. And as the price of steel goes up, the price of steel sculptures also goes up. And we eventually put out these more expensive steel sculptures back to the market, and thus completes our triangle of money. And using this perfectly legal and perfectly ethical money-making method, we are going to make ourselves a billionaire. Alright, enough yapping, get back to making those sculptures. Now just in case our plan with steel doesn't pan out, we also have here an automated plasteel creator. Because it's always good to have backups when your plans fail. We've also upgraded our hydroponics to super hydroponics, and we're now grinding rice into nutrient paste. All to feed our hardworking and well-paid workers, who are definitely not working for free. And thankfully all of them love doing art. Except you, Gray. But don't worry, we keep you happy, fed, and protected, right? We give you generously spacious lodgings, complete with a sleep accelerator, a neural supercharger, and your own personal biosculptor pod, all for the simple price of you making us art. And using this one simple trick, we are now worth 750,000 silver. Just 4 years in the Rim and we're already close to being a millionaire. Well, we are a millionaire because we made 1 million selling trash, but you get what I mean. But it only gets better from here. However, our defenses are pretty lacking, so it's time to gestate some scythers. Because we want all of our colonists to feel watched and safe all the time. And look at all these glorious sculptures you've made for me. I mean, for the colony. It's all for the colony, yes. And it's time to replace the useless marble floors with steel floors, because steel is now more expensive than marble. And not to mention more beautiful now that they are arranged in a hex. Everybody loves hexes. And now we've reached the millionaire point. Alright, 999 million to go. Let's get sculpting. And what's the best way to let everyone know that you're now a millionaire? It's by building a huge bathroom. Now, unfortunately, I have to make it a public bathroom, but I'm sure we'll get to building my own personal one eventually. However, placing down steel hex tiles actually takes an insane amount of time, and we have better use for the construction capacities of our mechanoids, such as the security station filled to the brim with mobile turrets. And do not worry, my dear workers, these are all here to protect you. Now, those pesky mad penguins have to deal with roaming scythers and roaming turrets. As we accumulate more money and steel, I think it's time to start opening our little colony to guests. We built some interactive tables and put down some ergonomic chairs as well, so that our guests can watch their favorite AI blue tubers, all while eating their delicious nutrient-paced meal. All made from vegetarian sources, of course, with absolutely zero meat inside, and especially no human meat that is so popular in the Rimworld. We're also going to provide you with more public entertainment in the form of public hot tubs that will massage you while you chat with your friends at the nearby tables. And if that wasn't enough, here are some arcade games for you to play. Now, they only require 1 silver per game, which is 30% cheaper than other people offering similar services. The 4th year is over and now it is the 5th year, and we are now worth 2 million. And that means we should start amping up our production, because we still have 998 million to go. And fortunately, we've finished most of our hotel. We still need to add more bedrooms, because visitors come typically in very large groups. Let's also build some vending machines, so that they can feed themselves for a fair price. Let's add some nutrient-paced taps as well, so that if they ever lack money, they can still feed themselves, because dead customers are the last thing we need. Our construction, however, is interrupted by a black hive. But we did make a lot of scythers, and they make quick work of these stupid bugs. And these bugs are way harder than I remember. I wonder what happened to Dog's Eltec sword, because he murdered so many mechanoids with those. Alright, chop them up so we can feed them to the nutrient-paste grinder. For our colonists, of course, not for the guests. Yes, they are chopped separately. 100%. Now we make sure they never come back. And they give free jelly too. So now we have jelly flavored nutrient paste. And look at our nice little colony. There's still quite a lot of unfloored areas, but we'll fix that eventually. Just gotta gestate more constructoids. Now I've made quite a big mistake. I sold some steel, and now the value of steel dropped and we are now worth less than 2 million. Alright, we gotta make that up. We gotta amp up production. Time to expand our mechanoid production area. Now unfortunately, the game has not been good to me in terms of prisoners, and I am unable to make as many fabricors as I want. And so Dog here has to do the work manually himself. And so we upgrade him. Alright, let's put this architect nose in because for some reason I managed to shatter Dog's nose. We managed to buy a lot of architect bionics, but I'm not sure if I should install all of them at the same time. You know what, it'll be fine. I'm sure our surgeon Gray is motivated enough not to fail, or there would be very dire consequences. Alright, get to work, Gray, and do not fail, because I am deathless. And if I come back from a catastrophically failed surgery, you are going straight to a drain casket. Remember your training, Gray. Alright, one left. Surely she won't fail her last surgery. And she's successful. Great job. And so you get to keep being employed by me, the best boss. And look, they're even throwing a party in one of the small guest rooms. I mean, I guess it works. A party is a party. We managed to scam another trade ship and we've now bounced back from our previous failure. I still need to amp up my production though, which requires more human labor, which means I need to expand my food production as well. And I'm going to need it because we've started cloning myself. Nothing beats clones who have the same mindset as you. But we also don't want a clone rebellion, so these clones will be significantly worse than Dog, but still able to produce art. We've also started to mass produce advanced bionics so that you can produce art more efficiently. Soon our colony will be flooded with art. And in a few days, baby Rice is born. Now I don't want people to start thinking he's food, so we'll rename him as myself, with a clone designation of course so they don't start having such independent thoughts. And you will be one of many. It is now year 6, and we are now worth 23 million, and steel is now valued at 152 per unit, almost 8,000% of its original value. Meanwhile, gold sits here at a market value of 15 per unit, which means that steel is now 10 times more expensive than an equivalent amount of gold. And that is the magic of a free market. Free to be manipulated by people. And by people, I mean me. But we're still only at 2% of our goal, and I really want to reach this at the end of the year. And first things first, more housing for our future clones. And thank you Blueprints mod for making my life so easy. We've quadrupled our growth vat so that we can increase cloning. Those art production quotas aren't going to reach themselves. But since those clones are going to take some time to grow into fully functional adults, it's time to expand our steel production. Now thankfully, these steel extractors require 0 input once they're constructed. What a nice graph. Keep the art sculptures coming. We need to keep crashing the market for steel. And here our first dog clone is now a fully functional adult. So now we can make more clones of our clones. And fortunately, these clones won't know that they're clones of clones. Otherwise, they wouldn't be good clones. And that's basic cloning rules. The days of the year blur until we get richer and richer and richer. We are 20% of the way there, which means 80% left to go. Our art production is doing very well, and our steel sculptures are now selling for almost 400,000. And of course, the game hates this, and so it starts killing off my pawns randomly with toxic buildup. And I am 100% sure my map has absolutely 0 pollution. And I'm not sure what's causing this. It could either be the toxifier generators bugging out, or the nuclear power also bugging out. But slowly it starts killing my art producers one by one, until only our toxic-resistant art producers remain, and some clones stored safely in their vats. And I think it might be the nuclear generators I'm using, because I set their fuel level to 70+, and increasing their fuel level increases a toxic area around them. And that toxicity should only cover 12 tiles, right? And the loss of workers means our wealth is now plateauing. This is not good news for me. Thankfully, we get a slave ship, and so we buy all of their stock. You are going to produce art whether you like it or not, and you're going to like it. But it doesn't matter because the game decides to kill all of them slowly anyway. Sorry dog, it looks like you have to finish the last 50% yourself. But we've stashed so much steel in our base at this point that I think we'll probably reach it soon. I guess our automated steel extractors are now our last hope. We're so close I can feel it. 700 million. Where are you now, organ human farms and drug cartels? Bet you didn't think of this. We just need one more trade ship and we will be reaching our 1 billion goal. Any day now. Here we are, our last trade ship. Let's go. Just gonna sell you all of my sculptures and buy all of your steel. And now we just have to wait for the prices to update. And here we are, going from 700 million to 1.2 billion. Congratulations, I am Rimworld's first billionaire. And all I had to do was manipulate the price of steel until steel cost 5,963 per unit, making it 3,000 times its original price. And I hope all those traders who bought sculptures from us are happy with their purchase, because every one of those is now worth a fortune. Thank you, free market economics, for making us a billionaire. And so another project of dog is successful. And if you like that video, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to see dog recycle pollution into money, click on the video to your right. That is all for this video, and thank you for watching.